May 2025. The world didn't know it yet, but the air was about to turn electric. A month that would etch itself into the subcontinent's nightmares. Kashmir, already a powder keg, now the match was lit. History, it seems, loves a good cliffhanger. Indo-Pakistani relations, never boring, always on the edge. Flags waved, nerves frayed. Over South Asia, the skies brooded, waiting, watching, plotting. Then, with a crackle, all hell broke loose. This wasn't your average border spat. No, this was the kind of escalation that makes diplomats reach for their antacids. Military analysts called it a significant escalation. Understatement of the year. In war rooms, experts like Seth Crumrish watched, probably with popcorn. He called it the most violent, most concerning episode in recent memory. And he wasn't exaggerating. For 4 days, the world held its breath, hoping it wouldn't be the last. May 6th to May 10th. Mark your calendars, preferably in red. 2 nuclear neighbors locked in a dance as old as the mountains. The steppes, drones, shelling and airstrikes, choreographed chaos. The world watched, popcorn in hand, horror in their eyes. Each move threatened to tip the region into the abyss. The implications, colossal. The tension, palpable. The spark, a brutal terrorist attack in Kashmir, April 2025. 26 lives lost. Shockwaves, not just through India but the world. New Delhi pointed fingers at Pakistan. Old habits die hard. Islamabad, of course, denied everything. Some things never change. Accusations flew, denials followed like a well-rehearsed play. But this time the script took a darker turn. Rhetoric escalated, diplomacy evaporated, and the world braced for impact. The stage was set for a showdown, one with no intermission. The aerial duel began, May 6th, May 7th. The tempo, relentless. India struck first, airstrikes slicing through the tension. Targets, terrorist infrastructure, deep inside Pakistani territory. A direct challenge, a red line crossed, and then some. Pakistan's reply? Swift, sharp, and not without a little dramatic flair. Retaliation was promised. 5 Indian jets claimed shot down, 3 Rafale included. The opening salvo set a grim tone, one that would haunt the days to come. Both sides, it seemed, were all in. No one blinked. The initial Indian strikes weren't just for show, they were a message, loud and clear. Pakistan's counterclaims, even louder. The fog of war thickened. Downed aircraft, shattered nerves, and a world on edge. Both nations had skirmished before, but never at this speed, never at this scale. The focus? Military targets, at least for now, but with every move the risk of miscalculation loomed, like a shadow at noon. The world could only watch, and hope the next chapter wouldn't be the last. The conflict quickly showcased a new dimension of warfare for the subcontinent, the extensive use of unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones. On Thursday, May 8th, the technological battle intensified dramatically. India reported via the New York Times that it had successfully thwarted a major Pakistani drone and missile attack aimed at over a dozen Indian cities. This defensive success highlighted India's preparedness for such assaults. Simultaneously, Pakistan made its own bold claims, stating its forces had shot down as many as 25 Indian drones. These competing claims painted a picture of skies buzzing with unmanned aircraft, a far cry from previous conflicts, marking, as France 24 noted, the first major instance of extensive drone warfare between the two nations. The drone war continued its relentless pace. On Friday, May 9th, reports from the New York Times indicated that Pakistan's military had launched a massive wave of an estimated 300 to 400 drones. This swarm was reportedly designed to test the capabilities and responsiveness of India's air defense systems. Such a large-scale deployment of unmanned systems represented a significant strategic move, probing for weaknesses and gathering crucial intelligence. It demonstrated a new level of sophistication and willingness to deploy drone technology en masse, not just for reconnaissance but as an offensive tool to overwhelm enemy defenses. The era of large-scale drone combat had truly arrived in South Asia. The Indian Air Force brought its sophisticated arsenal to the fight. According to the Eurasian Times and France 24, India utilized a mix of Russian-origin aircraft, including MiG-29s and Su-30s, alongside French-made Mirage 2000s and the newer Rafale fighter jets. These were complemented by long-range air-to-air missiles. Crucially, India's Russian-made S-400 air defense system reportedly passed its first major battle test successfully. Furthermore, India was said to have deployed Israeli-made Harop loitering munitions, or kamikaze drones, effectively to neutralize Pakistani radar systems, showcasing a multi-layered technological approach to the aerial engagements and highlighting its diverse procurement strategy over the years. On the other side, the Pakistan Air Force also deployed advanced aerial assets. Reports from the Eurasian Times detailed the use of Chinese-origin JF-17 Thunder and J-10C fighters, alongside its American-supplied F-16s. Like India, Pakistan employed advanced missile systems and air defense technology. The Chinese J-10C, a relatively new addition to the Pakistan Air Force, saw its first active combat, with Pakistan claiming, as per France 24, that its J-10Cs were responsible for downing 3 Indian Rafale jets, a very significant assertion. However, there were also reports, cited by France 24, suggesting that Pakistan's Chinese-made HQ-9 air defense system struggled, reportedly failing to intercept India's long-range French Scalp missiles effectively. The climax of the direct military engagements occurred on the morning of Saturday, May 10th. Before a fragile peace could be brokered, both sides launched significant attacks. The New York Times reported that India targeted 3 Pakistani air bases with missile strikes. This was a direct assault on key military installations, indicating a willingness to escalate further. Pakistan, in turn, retaliated with strikes against Indian military sites. These exchanges represented the peak of the kinetic conflict, pushing both nations dangerously close to a point of no return. Satellite images, later cited by the Eurasian Times, reportedly showed damage to air bases on both sides, visual evidence of the intense firepower unleashed. Assessing the exact toll is always challenging in the fog of war, especially with conflicting narratives. However, neutral international media reported that India suffered notable losses. These included fighter jets, with Pakistan specifically claiming its J-10Cs shot down 3 Indian Rafales beyond fighters, losses of drones, and even medium-lift aircraft were mentioned. These setbacks were described as significant, potentially affecting India's operational capabilities. The performance of certain Indian weapon systems also came under scrutiny. Pakistan, too, was reported to have suffered losses. However, neutral international media did not confirm any loss of Pakistani fighter jets. The damage reportedly included other military assets, but not fighter jets, according to neutral sources, and critically, airborne early warning and control aircraft. Such losses would severely dent the Pakistan Air Force's operational strength. The clash, while short, was incredibly intense, surpassing previous Indo-Pak air battles. As the fighting raged, international pressure mounted for an immediate cessation. The United States played a prominent role in mediation efforts. A ceasefire was ultimately announced on May 10, 2025. Then President Trump personally announced the breakthrough on social media. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance were actively engaged with officials from both India and Pakistan. Pakistan publicly acknowledged the American role. India, however, did not publicly confirm U.S. mediation. Other nations, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, were also reported to have worked diligently behind the scenes. The ceasefire declared on May 10th brought a halt to the most intense aerial combat, but it did not usher in a period of calm or trust. Almost immediately after the announcement, both India and Pakistan accused each other of violating the terms. Reports from the New York Times detailed continued cross-border firing and shelling in Kashmir, the very heart of the conflict. This immediate return to low-level hostilities underscored the deep-seated animosity and the fragility of the truce. The underlying issues remained entirely unresolved, leaving a palpable sense of unease hanging over the region. Expert analysis of the conflict highlighted several key takeaways. Military analyst Seth Krumrich noted that despite the violence, Both sides appeared to focus primarily on military targets, suggesting a deliberate calibration to avoid civilian casualties and a full-scale war. However, Yun Sun of the Stimson Center raised questions about the effectiveness of Indian weapon systems and suggested India's strategic intent might be overly ambitious. Conversely, Carlotta Rinaudo from the International Team for the Study of Security Verona perceived the claimed performance of Pakistan's Chinese J-10C jets against Indian Rafales as a potential victory for China, suggesting Chinese military technology was no longer inherently inferior to Western arms. In the immediate aftermath, some signs of de-escalation were visible. Pakistan, for instance, reopened its airspace for international and domestic flights, a signal of slightly easing tensions. However, there was no significant diplomatic progress reported between the two nations. Visa restrictions remained in place, and the heated rhetoric had not disappeared. The situation on the ground, particularly in Kashmir, remained volatile, with ongoing reports of shelling and drone activity continuing to surface, a constant reminder that another flare-up was dangerously real. The May 2025 air clash has undeniably heightened regional tensions. The fact that both India and Pakistan are nuclear-armed powers means any such confrontation is closely monitored with grave concern. The conflict showcased the destructive potential of modern conventional warfare, especially the widespread use of advanced aircraft and drone technology. While the United States played a key de-escalatory role, the performance of Chinese technology in Pakistani hands also sent ripples through geopolitical circles. Ultimately, this intense but brief war serves as a stark warning. Without addressing the core disputes, particularly concerning Kashmir, and fostering genuine dialogue, the future of South Asia remains precariously balanced on a knife's edge. Like, share, and subscribe.